Ballarat today.
Carl Lakeland's stories revolve around the element of what if. He pushes the boundaries of his stories to the edge of the Official Secrets Act, which will have the reader worrying about the aspect of creative licence or the possibility of fact in his writing. So is it true? Is it not?
Yeah, it reminds me very much of The Code, that TV show a couple of years ago, but look, very cleverly put together, great books. Please check them out.
Yeah, there's a couple out right now. Eagle's Shield, which revolves around an SAS soldier going into the intelligence field, and Project Amber, it's about a journalist going into, discovering a bit about ASIO as well.
Caught up with him a short time ago and asked, Carl, how did you start writing?
That was a long time ago. I was 13 when I wrote my first story. It was at a school. It was for a school competition. The story goes that a guy was walking down a bridge, he gets hit by a car, he gets flung over the side, hits the water and dies. That was the story.
That was the story?
That was the story.
And you won a prize for this, didn't you?
I won a prize, yes. But I never told anybody. I took it all on board and I went home as if it was just another day. And the teachers couldn't work out how I could have written such a story when I was in remedial reading class at school. I always had trouble reading, and even to this day, I read very slow. It's a slow and cumbersome thing for me.
Now, this is because you have dyslexia.
Yes, that's right. See, I can't see the shapes of words. I have to stop at each word before I can move on to the next, and that's just the way it's always been, even to this day.
Okay, another thing, you have Asperger's as well.
Asperger's,
and
yeah.
you have this amazing imagination.
Yeah, my brain, the way it thinks, it surprises me sometimes. Even when I listen to music, I listen to the song, and then my brain making little movies every time I hear a song. So it's the same thing over and over again. And out of these songs, I've been able to find the inspiration to write books.
That's amazing. So that's you get these movies and they become your stories. For those who don't understand what Asperger's is, can you explain what it's like living with Asperger's?
It's a struggle. It kind of makes you introvert in a way. And when I was a kid, I had a battle socialising with other kids. I always stayed out of the groups, and if there was a crowd, I'd go to the back of the crowd and try not to be noticed. And it was just one of those things. I mean, back when I was a little kid, they didn't really know that much about it. And I just battled through the best I could.
Do you have difficulty reading facial cues and those sort of social interactions?
I used to, not anymore. When I was a kid, I mean, I guess over the years I kind of learnt how to cope better than I did when I was a kid. When you see me, if you walk up to me and talk to me, I'm probably the same person as the next. But and that's how I've kind of trained myself, really.
Now, you also joined the Army in your earlier years, so that would have been interesting, being in the Army with Asperger's. How did you find that?
Very difficult. That's how it was. I was 17 and probably a bit too young to join the Army. But even when I was in the Army at 17, I got the first little inspirations to write these books that I'm writing now. I remember when we first arrived at Kapuka, near Wagga, there was a guy that came from the Northern Territory, and he had bright orange hair and a big smacking of freckles all over his face, and we all called him Blue. One day we were called to Reveille, and we did the normal thing, like we'd stand out in front of our doors in our jocks and a sheet hanging over our shoulder, and Blue wasn't there. And then the NCO down at the end of the hall called us to sound off a number. The number should have been 36, but it came back as 35. So you would think that there'd be a whole lot of surprise. Well, there was none. And before you knew it, rumours started to spread around, and the NCOs, they just told us to, very sternly to forget about the whole situation. But the rumours wouldn't go away, and I always wondered what happened to Blue. And then later on, there was speculation of Blue going into intelligence. And I wrote about him as I saw him in one of my books called Project Amber. I gave him the name Scotty Blue, but that wasn't his real name because I can't give up his real name.
So that's where you think he went into the intelligence sort of secretive black ops world.
Yes, that's right.
Have you met a SAS soldier before or somebody from that area? Have you seen one?
Yes. When I left Kapooka and went to corps training, I was in the medical corps, and as I was doing my medical training, there were a bunch of SAS guys. They came through to do whatever they were doing in their own circle. But you could tell just by looking at them, just in their eyes, that they were already trained to kill. And being in close proximity, I could make up my own creative license.
3BA's Ballarat Today.